Hello everyone and welcome to Kuli's Kitchen Lockdown, episode 6. Today I'm going to make a much loved Indian tea times treat, but I'm going to go and make it a bit healthier for you so you can eat the tea time treat without feeling too guilty. It is, ladies and gentlemen, a pakora, the base pakora recipe, which uses potatoes and onions. In this country, popularised I think from Indian restaurants, for some reason they also seem to be called onion bhajis. But yeah, I'll stick with the authentic name, which is a pakora. Primarily made out of potatoes and onions as the base. Of course you can mix it up and have different vegetables in there. And it's cooked in a batter of gram flour, which we've got here. So the difference is that today I've formulated my own recipe that's a bit healthier. We don't deep fry, we're not going to be deep frying today, we're going to actually be baking it in the oven. And in order to do that, we're going to do a few different things which I'll describe. One is that we're going to use rice flour as well to maintain a crispiness while we're baking. And also we're going to cook off the onions and potato first, a little bit before we put them in the oven. So yeah, I'm very excited about this. I want people to eat well and enjoy great food, but also to be a little bit healthier. Also, of course, baking something is much easier than deep frying. Deep frying is obviously potentially quite dangerous, and you know it's smelly and it's just very messy. So I know most of us don't really like to deep fry, so let's get on and cook. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly give you an overview of the ingredients. Obviously the main ingredients in terms of the vegetables are an onion about 150 grams, a potato about 150 grams. Again, feel free to double the recipe if you want more. And then in terms of creating the batter, we have gram flour 80 grams, rice flour 40 grams, to get a bit of that crispiness. So that's essentially the batter with some water. Using olive oil here to sort of fry off the veg and actually put in when we bake it to make sure it doesn't stick. Then in terms of wet ingredients, we've got some green chilli and some ginger. And then in terms of spices, we've got some red chilli powder, some cumin seeds, garam masala, turmeric, and red chilli powder, which are here in my spice box. A little bit of lemon, and then the water to make the batter, and some salt and pepper for our seasoning. So that's that. I'm now going to get on and in a frying pan we're going to dice these onions and potatoes, and we're going to cook them off until translucent. So guys, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of olive oil here. So not overdoing it, trying to be relatively healthy. We're not deep frying, but we do need some oil. And here we go. I've actually diced, as you can see, I've actually diced, I mean onions always are a fine dice anyway, but I've diced the potatoes quite finely as well. And they'll fare better when we put them in the batter. You don't want them really big, you want them small. So in they go. I'm going to break up some of these potatoes that weren't completely cut, and I'm going to cook these for 5 minutes. We're looking to get the onions translucent and just to cook the potatoes a little. So I'll get on and do that, and I'll be back with you in a second. So hey guys, it's been a good 5 minutes, and you can see that the veg are cooking down quite well. As you can see that the onions are actually translucent now, so they'll be soft when they're baked, and you know, because rather than deep frying, it means that we'll get nice soft veg in a pakora at the end. So we're done now, and now we can actually let this cool and then add all the other ingredients and create our batter and put it in the oven. So I've added the veg to the bowl, and now I'm going to add 2 green chillies that are finely chopped, very finely chopped, and 2 teaspoons of freshly chopped ginger as well. So, and also now I'm going to go in with I'm now also going to go in with some lemons. I'm going to go with so that's our 2 teaspoons of lemon. So now I'm going to add some of my spices. So I'll start off with the 1/4 teaspoon. So I'm going to have a 1/4 teaspoon, give or take, of red chili powder and of turmeric. And then, like I said, this is optional, you might not have it, but if you do have it, it's good, ajwain. I'm going to go in with a 1/4 teaspoon of the ajwain seeds. They're quite strong, so you really need a little bit. And then I'm going to go in with good old fashioned cumin. I'm going to go in with a 1/2 teaspoon of cumin and 1/2 teaspoon of garam masala, which is one that I made not too long ago, freshly made. You can buy short bought, so that's the garam masala. So that's the spices done, guys. I'm just going to mix everything together, and now we're going to actually add the flours and then very carefully add a little bit of water to make sure it's a nice thick batter and season it as well. That's what we're doing next. I also forgot to mention that actually I started the oven before I actually looked at mixing the veg together, so it gives enough time for the oven to actually preheat as well. So by the time we've done all this, we've made the batter, we can actually add it into a hot oven and then off we go, so it's just being more efficient. So in goes, I'm going to measure out 80 grams of the ground flour. And now I'm going in with 40 grams, half of the ground flour, so 40 grams of the rice flour, which will give us some crispiness. I'll now add that to our mix. That's done. At this point I'm going to season, so again this is very much up to personal taste. I'm going to add a little bit of salt, I'm going to add a little bit of pepper, and then I'm going to mix it in. And now finally the last thing is to actually add the right amount of water. Remember, we need to go in very carefully with this. I've indicated about 100 ml, but let's see what happens right now, so we'll do that now. Okay, so I'm going to very slowly, guys, add some water. Now, mothers all over India will be doing this with their hands, actually, not with a spoon. But we need enough water so that obviously it's not floury and it's not rock solid, but we don't want, because we're baking this, we do not want it to be really, really runny, otherwise it will kind of go in the baking dish and it will just collapse. So I quite like that. That was slightly under 100, and that's quite pliable. That's quite thick. So I'm quite happy with that. So obviously at this point now we want to put it into our baking dish, but what I did is I tasted for seasoning and I added a bit of salt because, yeah, you do want to taste and see, you know, if you want to add a bit more spice or a bit more chili or however you feel, this is the time to find out what you need. And obviously, you know, see how you feel about what the batter's like. So I'm actually quite happy with this. Otherwise, if it was too runny, you'd add a bit of ground flour. If it was really, really rock solid, you would add a little bit of water. So now I'm going to go in and take spoonfuls and put them into my baking dish. So first things first, I'm just going to add about a tablespoon of oil, and I'm going to brush it. So that'll make our job a lot easier when we take it out of the, I mean, I know we're not frying, but we do need some oil, folks, so, you know. And now we'll take spoonfuls of the batter and put them in. Again, be very quick with this because we want to put them straight into the oven, get a bit of height on them. So if you can see there, get a bit of height on them, and I'm going to carry on doing those, and then we'll put them straight in the oven for about 35 minutes, so let's do that now. So, while the pakoras are being made, I thought it'd be really nice to actually, as a bit of a bonus, to make a mint coriander chutney. So I've tried to make this as easy as possible for you. In many of these supermarkets you get these 80-gram bags of mint and coriander, so I've picked up a couple of those. I've got a couple of green chilies that are coarsely chopped. I've got a couple of tablespoons of ginger, and 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and basically I'm going to blitz them all up in my blender here with a few tablespoons of water and some salt, as per your taste. I'm going to put half a red onion in there as well. So this is a very small onion, so I'm counting that as a half. So that's going to go in along with the 80 grams of mint coriander, the ginger, the green chili, the lemon juice and the salt. So off we go.
So the coriander can go in, stalks and all. The mint, make sure that the larger stalks are taken off and you take off the leaves. The smaller stalks will be fine. So I'll just do that now. So as you can see, the blender's quite full, so I'm not going to put the onions yet. I'm going to put some, so I've got everything in apart from the onions. I'm going to add a little bit of salt for seasoning and it will help actually grind everything up. And I'm going to add a splash of water. Bear in mind I've already had lemon juice. I'm going to add a splash of water. And then I'll blitz it. And then we can add the onions in and as everything gets blended down. So, as we can see, it's looking pretty good. I've added the onions. I'm going to blend the onions down. Add a bit of more water as I go in. Don't do too much because otherwise it will get too watery. And then season to taste. And then add extra chili or extra spices as you feel. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of cumin as well. Again, that'll be in the recipe, and we'll season and so I'm happy with the. I'm really happy with the texture of this. It's amazing. Do go and make sure you season properly, otherwise you just won't get that intensity of flavour. So I'm very happy with this. I'll probably season a little bit, but I'm going to plate it up now. So I had them in the oven for half an hour, give or take, to see how you go, but halfway through please turn them over. Bear in mind, because we're baking them, and even though we oil at the bottom, often they do get stuck. It's a compromise we're making in the name of healthiness. I would use one of these metal fish slices or whatever they're called to really get underneath and prise it open. Turn it over so that they cook evenly. In about 30 to 35 minutes you should be ready. And how do you know they're ready? Well, you can see that they're sort of nice and you've got the combination. You don't want them over so they're like really dark brown. You don't want them under so they're all just yellow. But here you can see you've got bits of brownness around. And when you eat into them, you'll see that, yum. You've got the yielding onion and potato, really nice spice, crispy on the outside and lovely and yielding and soft on the inside. Really good, guys. So there we go. That is our recipe for our baked pakora. So there we have it. I've made myself a nice cup of tea in this lovely mug. I've got my tea time treat straight out of the oven, nice and healthy, gluten-free and vegan. I've got my coriander, mint and onion chutney, and then I love to go fusion. I grew up doing this and I'm going to carry on doing it. A nice bit of ketchup as well. So we've got proper fusion, we've got the Indian chutney and we've got our English condiment too. So there we go. I hope you guys enjoy this recipe. It's delicious and it's healthy, great for a tea time. I hope you try it and enjoy it.